Welcome everybody, it's Karen. I've got a pop-up box card to share with you today. I had die cut these pansies and colored them in with Copic markers, and I wanted to put them in a pop-up box. Now these are the two designs I've had before, and I've had them in another video which I will list below, but neither one of these quite suited what I wanted to do with these pansies. I wanted them to be spread across, but also to go up like the one on the left. So here's what I've come up with. So it's a different style, and this is my little cheat sheet, so you may want to take a screenshot of that. I know it's kind of messy, I'm so sorry. But let's go through it together. The hardest part, possibly, nothing's hard about this really, is this little piece here, the sides. So I have a piece that is 3 3/4 inches long by 2 1/4 inches tall. And all I'm going to do is my ruler, if you have this ruler, it's 1 inch wide. So on one side, you're going to mark 1 inch, and then from the top, I'm marking 1 inch down on the other side. So that will give me a 1 inch mark from the top and the bottom, but on opposite sides. And I'm just marking this a little bit better for you so you can see it. And all we're going to do is connect those two sides. So long as you cut a piece of cardstock that is the right size, this will work. And then I just use my scissors to cut that. You could put it on your trimmer and cut it, of course, but that will give you two matching sides. So now on the scoreboard, I have my piece of 5 inch by 4 inch cardstock, and I'm going to score at 1/4 inch in from either side. I should also mention I'm using fairly sturdy cardstock. I think this is 100-pound, but I often will do this with 110-pound cardstock. Now my two side pieces are only going to get scored along the long edge, and it's again 1/4 inch in, and that will just be where the flap will go to attach it to the back. So I'm just rotating that one around just to get it lined up at the edge and scoring 1/4 inch in. So there they are. Now I just find it easier to put my double-sided tape on this 5 by 4 inch piece now rather than when I've cut it into 4 pieces. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just running tape along those two flaps and folding them down. And then after I've got all this folded down and burnished, then I'll start to cut that. So they're all 1 inch wide, these cross pieces. So here it is on my trimmer. It measures 4 inches, so I just go across 1 inch and I'm cutting it. And I just cut that into the 4 pieces. Now one of those will be the front piece, and we're going to cover that with some pattern paper. But the other ones, you could color these up or cut them from a colored cardstock if you don't want them to be white. I knew my box was going to be quite full, so I didn't worry about that too much. Now I'm just showing you there, you can decide if you want to put your flaps on the inside or on the back of it. And I tend to put them on the inside because I'm going to cover it with pattern paper so you won't see the flaps. But I do make a mistake, and I've left that in for you, so you'll see what I have to do in a minute here. But on these side ones, I am putting some double-sided tape on these as well. I've decided I'm going to put the flaps inside the box, the pop-up part of the box, and so I'm putting the double-sided tape on this side of my side pieces now. Now I'm folding these down, and that little extra triangle piece bothers me, so I cut it off. It will be hidden by the pattern paper, so it doesn't really matter. Now I'm just showing you there, you could use your corner trimmer, or you could partially die cut this. This is the back. But I personally just find I line this up and I trace around my circle die, and then I just fussy cut it out. To me, it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I don't mind either way. So I've got some pieces of pattern paper now. I just cut rectangles. They're going to cover that front section and then the two sides. And I personally just find it easier to glue these on after the fact and then just cut right around where I've already cut my side pieces, and that way I know they'll fit. Now here's where I do go horribly wrong. I glued this pattern paper to my back and then cut it out and realized I hadn't attached the flaps or the side pieces yet, so I had to pull that off. So ignore that part, don't stick it down. Cut it out, but don't have the paper glued down, because this is how it should go. So in order to assemble this, I have taken the release paper off the left side edge piece, and I'm lining up the bottoms and the sides. I just butt them right up together, and then you can just press that flap over and press it right down. And I like to really burnish these. They need to be able to move and bend quite freely. So I use my bone folder and I just go over it. I usually go over both sides of this. And then to attach the front, I've taken the release paper off that left side of the front straight piece. I'm lining up the bottom edges and making sure that the side seams match up as well. And then you can just press it right down together and burnish it. So you can see how it's starting to come together. And so now I've taken the release paper off that right side of the front, and again I'm lining up the bottom and the side seams and just pressing that down, and it will all go together. So again, I'm just burnishing that. Now for these inset stepped up pieces, you want to stagger them across that side, that triangular side piece. So you can see here the first one, I'm making sure it's lined up along the bottom, but it's just underneath that diagonal line, and it's sort of, I'm aiming for a third of the way across from each seam on that side piece, and once I'm there, I just press the flap down. Now this second inset piece is going to go higher than the first one, and just below that diagonal edge there, but staying nice and parallel to the one below. You don't want it going up or down like that. So nice and parallel to the one below, and just under that diagonal line at the top there. And once you've got it there, you can press the flap down. And then the third one, all you're going to do is it goes in even closer to the back, and again stays parallel to the bottom ones, and just below that diagonal line. Really, how far apart they are, how close to the front and the back doesn't matter terribly, but I would just make sure that they're nice and parallel and they're staying below that diagonal line. Otherwise they will stick up. So now I'm folding them all over to the right and opening up that right end. And now I'm holding them down with my left hand, and I'm just going to remove all that release paper. So there I'm holding them down there. I've got them all lined up. They're lined up with the bottom. And then all you're going to do is fold that top over at that left seam there, hold everything down, and just push this end piece right down, and it will pick up all three tabs because we've removed the release paper on all three. So just give it a good rub just to make sure they're caught. And then you should have all of your tabs in exactly the right place. So then for this last one now, to attach the side, we're going to fold that tab under and then remove that release paper. And then you just want to make sure your bottom is lined up, which is now at the top there, and that the side flap lines up with the edge of the back. So I'm just tucking that in there a little bit, and then just press it down, make sure it's really firmly attached. And as with all paper things, you want to bend it back and forth a little bit. It sort of has to learn where it should go. So I'm just bending it back and forth to make sure it will do both. And now I can finally attach this pattern paper. So it will just slide in over top of those side flaps and cover them up. And it just lines up with the bottom edge. And because I did cut it all together, it will fit nicely. So you can see here the inset pieces are white. So if you wanted that to be, I don't know, green grass or something, you could cut some, use a border die and cut some grassy border sections. They don't have to be straight like this. Whatever suits the kind of card that you're making. There's lots of room to write on the back, so it's a fairly nice size. Okay, so I've got some little strips of acetate here. They're about 1/4 inch wide, I would say, and I've put little pieces of double-sided adhesive tape on them. And I'm just trying to figure out which way I want my pansy to go, which orientation it'll be, and then I just stick it to the back of the pansy. So I've attached all of those pansies now to acetate, and this is how I position them. I sort of hold it where I think I want them to go in my box. The acetate is extra long, so I know I'm going to have to trim that off. Now, what I do is I position, well, this is the leaf, so I position it where I want it to be. And then I hold at the bottom, I pinch sort of at where the bottom inset piece is, and that's how I know where to cut it off. And then each of those inset pieces is only 1 inch wide, so you know you can only have a tiny bit of adhesive tape there. So it's not very long. You don't want it to stick down your box. You don't want it hanging down below those inset pieces or up above. So this way I know it's just where I need it to be, and then I can attach it. And then you want to be sure that when your box is folded down to go in an envelope, things are not sticking way out past where your envelope will go. So I'm just kind of organizing these pansies right now, trying to get a vision of how it will all fit. And I realized I needed some more of these leaves, so I cut out and colored up some green leaves. And I did switch out those white branchy bits to these green leafy die cut pieces. So it was quite a full box in the end. I was quite happy with it. Those little white leaves are from the Little Foliage 2 die set. The pattern paper is the Butterfly Bliss, and I used the 6x6 inch size. And then that sentiment was super easy. That came from the Big Sentiments 1.0. And of course, that is the Etched Pansy 1 metal die for all the pansies and the leaves. Now, so far as coloring the pansies, I just Googled pansies, and there are so many different color options. So I would say if you're going to do that, just have a look on Google and choose what colors you're going to use. Now I'm just showing you there, you could make that a slightly taller back if you wanted to put your sentiment at the back. It's quite a full box, it stands up nicely, and there's room on the back for a message. So I hope I've given you some inspiration there today. I will link to my other video in case you want a different size pop-up box. They're all made from templates, so no dies required. So thanks for joining me, everybody, and I hope you're having a wonderful day.